The worst feeling isn't being judged online. It's watching less talented people get opportunities you know you deserved. You see someone getting invited to podcasts, getting brand deals, clients, speaking opportunities, or maybe even getting promoted. And deep down, a part of you knows you're far more skilled and talented than them. But today, skill is no longer enough. Because people don't reward the most talented person anymore. They reward the person they remember. And that creates a very uncomfortable fear. What if people watch your content but never truly care about you? What if taking a stand makes people unfollow or criticize you? What if giving away free value leaves nobody willing to pay you? What if you're not building a respected personal brand and are just becoming another creator people scroll past? And the biggest one, what if years pass and you still don't have a meaningful brand that people care about? Now, underneath all of this, fear is one simple desire. You want opportunities to come to you. You want clients, collaborations, speaking gigs, podcast invites, partnerships, or maybe even career growth without having to chase people. You want to become the most trusted name people think of first in your industry, your niche, your domain. And the good news is this: personal branding is not about luck. It's not reserved for extroverts, and it's definitely not about becoming famous. It's about becoming memorable for the right reasons. In this episode, I want to walk you through 5 easy ways to build your personal brand faster, not through hacks of fake virality, and definitely not through pretending to be someone else, but through simple shifts that compound over time. And if you stay till the end, you'll realize why some people grow slowly for years and suddenly become impossible to ignore. If you are creating content but still feel invisible, you are at the right place. Welcome to the DNA of personal brands. This podcast is built for working professionals, business owners, and creators who don't just want attention but also want to build an authority. Here you'll learn how to build a loyal audience, become the go to voice in your niche, and unlock the rooms that most people will never reach. Hi, I'm Manish Ahuja. By profession, I'm a business growth educator and consultant. I help business owners, marketing and sales professionals, content creators, coaches, personal brand builders grow steadily, systematically, and at scale by aligning marketing and sales for personal and professional growth. This episode was made possible by MrEmogical exclusive. More about it a little later in the episode. For now, without any further ado, let's deep dive and help you grow your personal brand in 5 easy steps. The first step that I want you to start focusing on is build a community and not an audience. Most people think personal branding is all about collecting followers. It's not. A following is people watching you. A community is people feeling connected to you. And there's a massive difference between both these situations. One disappears the moment algorithm stops pushing you. The other stays with you even when you disappear for a couple of weeks. A lot of creators unknowingly are building stadiums, thousands of people watching, but nobody is emotionally invested. But the strongest brands feel more like a neighborhood. People talk, respond, remember each other. Most importantly, people feel seen. That only happens when your content feels like a conversation instead of a performance. Most people post content to impress. Very few are posting content to connect. And that connection always wins in the long term. For example, a freelance designer started replying to every thoughtful comment on her post for 6 months straight, and eventually, 3 of those regular commenters ended up becoming long term clients. A fitness coach began sharing weekly voice notes answering subscriber questions, and his audience started recommending him inside private WhatsApp chats even without him having to ask. A marketing professional started documenting mistakes from failed campaigns instead of only posting wins, and recruiters started trusting him more because he sounded real. The mistake people make is assuming attention automatically creates trust. It does not. Attention gets people to notice you, but interaction gets people to care about you. And once people start caring about you, they stop comparing you. Now, here's where things start becoming a little uncomfortable. The moment people start paying attention to you consistently, they start looking for what you actually stand for. And that's where most personal brands start to collapse because they try to please everybody. Which brings me to the second shift. The second point that I want you to take note of is take a stand even if it costs you people. Trying to please everyone is one of the fastest ways to become forgettable Because when your opinions are too safe, your brand becomes invisible. Most people dilute themselves online. They soften every opinion, they avoid uncomfortable truths, they say things in a way that nobody disagrees with. And the result is simple, nobody remembers them. The internet rewards clarity, not neutrality. That does not mean that you become aggressive, it just means that you become identifiable. People should know what you believe in, what you reject, what kind of work you respect, what kind of work you refuse to do. Because the strongest brands are built around emotional alignment. A content creator openly spoke against fake luxury culture and started attracting business owners who cared about profitability than appearances. A career coach stopped promising quick success and instead focused on long term skill building, and her audience became smaller but far more serious. A consultant refused to take clients looking for overnight growth hacks, and that single decision pointed him and positioned him as someone trustworthy instead of desperate. You don't build trust by sounding agreeable. You build trust by sounding consistent. And yes, taking a stand will make some people leave. That's normal. Every strong brand filters people. The goal is not to attract everyone, the goal is to attract the right people deeply. Because one deeply aligned person is far more valuable than 1,000 passive followers. Now, once you take a stand, another fear shows up. You start wondering whether giving away too much value for free will hurt your ability to monetize later. And this is where more people start holding back. But that mindset usually slows growth instead of protecting it. Before I explain why that happens, let me very quickly tell you about something very important. Let me introduce you to MrEmogical Exclusive. This is a private newsletter and a resource vault where I share my frameworks, templates, and practical brand and business insights that come directly from real consulting work. If you're serious about building your personal brand that actually leads to opportunities, clients, and business growth, join the community by scanning the QR code that you see on your screen right now. Or if you're listening to this episode, you'll find the link to join MrEmogical Exclusive in the show notes of this episode. It's free right now. So go ahead and subscribe to the newsletter, and I'll see you soon in your inbox. Getting back, let's talk about the third shift, which is give away value without panicking about monetization. A lot of people treat knowledge like it's limited, so they hide their best ideas. They stay vague, they avoid specific, and they hold back the practical information because they think someone else will steal it. But here's what actually happens: the more useful you are publicly, the more trustworthy you become privately. More people are paying today for attention. Most people today are not paying for information anymore. They're paying for attention, clarity, implementation. They want speed in execution, confidence, customization. Information alone rarely changes lives, application does. Which means giving away value for free usually increases the demand rather than reducing it. A sales consultant started posting detailed frameworks for free on LinkedIn, and companies reached out because they helped or they wanted help in implementing them correctly. A video editor began breaking down exactly how he edited client videos, and creators trusted him far more because they could finally see their thinking process. A business coach started sharing mistakes from clients' projects publicly, and people started seeing him as an experienced person rather than a promotional coach. Value compounds. Every useful piece of content becomes proof. Proof that you understand the problem, proof that you can simplify the complexity, proof that you can help someone move forward. And over time, that proof becomes your authority. And there's a hidden trap there. Once people start trusting you, money starts showing up. Brand deals, partnerships, shortcuts, faster monetization opportunities. And if you are not careful, that is the exact moment your audience will stop trusting you. Because the way you monetize your brand changes how people emotionally experience your brand. That changes everything. And for that, the fourth point that I want you to focus on is don't sacrifice trust for money. A lot of creators destroy years of credibility for months of income. Not because they are bad people, because they get impatient. The moment growth starts happening, they start saying yes to everything, every sponsorship, every affiliate product, every collaboration, every shortcut, and slowly the audience stops feeling valued. They start feeling sold to. The problem is not monetization, it's misalignment. Your audience can feel you when you're genuinely believing in something, and they can also start feeling a very strong sense of discomfort when you start promoting something only because it pays you well. A finance creator rejected multiple gambling app sponsorships, and his audience trusted every future recommendation even more. A wellness coach refused promoting random supplements she had never used and eventually partnered with the right brand that aligned with her values and paid significantly better. A creator focused on helping job seekers trust, turned down unrelated tech ads, and recruiters started seeing his content as credible instead of a commercial. Trust is slow to build and very fast to lose. That's why patience matters. Strong personal brands are usually built by people willing to delay gratification, people who understand that credibility compounds longer than hype. And this is also why I personally believe slow growth is underrated, because fast growth often brings the wrong audience, and slow growth usually builds very strong foundations. If this episode is helping you rethink how you approach your personal branding, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast or are following it depending on if you're listening to this podcast. Because in the next episode, I am going to talk about how to become the top 1% in your niche, irrespective of your industry, your domain, and more importantly, irrespective of how many number of people are already creating their personal brand or have created their personal brand around the world. And that conversation will make much more sense after understanding this final shift, which I'm going to talk to you about in the fifth point. Because even trust is not enough for your brand if it does not have any direction. The fifth point that I want you to be absolutely focused on is build your brand around a clear mission. A lot of people create content, very few build movements. And the difference is purpose. If your brand has deeper direction, people may consume your content, but they won't feel emotionally connected with your journey unless and until you talk about this deeper connection. And most of the times there is no deeper connection in the content that creators are creating, and because they just started creating content on a niche because it was profitable. People don't just follow information, they follow meaning. Your audience wants to know what you are trying to build, what you are trying to change, what future do you believe in. Because purpose creates a very strong emotional consistency, and emotional consistency creates long term loyalty. A teacher started creating content helping first generation students navigate through careers, and her audience became deeply invested in her mission. A small business owner documented his journey of building a debt free company, and entrepreneurs followed him because they related to the values behind the business. A creator started focusing entirely on helping introverts communicate confidently online and eventually became the first recommendation in that niche because his purpose was crystal clear. The strongest brands usually have a North Star, a long term direction, something bigger than their views, bigger than followers, and definitely bigger than the money. And the interesting part is this: once you commit to a meaningful mission, decision making becomes a lot more easier. You know what opportunities to reject, you know what kind of audience belongs to you and your voice, and you know what kind of content which will align with your personal brand vision. Your brand stops drifting, and this is where your personal brand becomes extremely powerful. Not because people recognize you by your name, but because people start associating your name with something extremely meaningful, and that's how your personal brand will keep growing. Everything I've shared in this episode is something I have actively tried and I am trying to build with my own personal brand. If you look carefully, the way I create content, you will notice I am not trying to speak to everybody. I'm intentionally building for content creators, business owners, and professionals working in marketing and sales. That's my community. Even my podcasts that I create are built around that purpose. I have a podcast called The Business of Coaches because coaching business operates very differently from most other traditional businesses. And since I am a coach and consultant myself, I understand those dynamics deeply. I also believe strongly in slow growth. I don't believe in one viral video that changes your life permanently. I would rather create thousands of useful pieces of content consistently because consistency is what builds trust. Virality often changes the audience and sometimes even changes the creator. That's why my content may feel different from other content creators chasing trends because my focus is not just on views, my focus is on creating value that continue and forces you to come back every time. That eventually you trust the process, you trust the thinking, and hopefully you trust me enough to become a part of a much larger community that I'm trying to build. And my long term mission is simple to help creators, professionals, and business owners becoming profitable doing meaningful work that they genuinely care about. That's my North Star. And honestly, once you have a clear North Star, growth becomes less confusing. Let me very quickly give you a recap of all the points that I've mentioned in today's episode. First, build a community, not an audience. Second, take a stand even if it costs you people. Third, give away value without panicking about monetization. Fourth, don't sacrifice trust for quick money. Fifth, build your brand around a super clear mission. At the beginning of the episode, I told you that personal branding is not really about becoming famous. And now you can probably see why. The people who become unforgettable are usually not the loudest, they are the clearest. They consistently help the same kind of people, they stand for something, they create trust slowly, and they stay aligned long enough for reputation to compound. That's how opportunities start coming inbound. Not because you chased attention, because people started associating your name with clarity, trust, and consistency in your domain. And that's the real growth. Not becoming known by everyone, but being trusted by the right people. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 points did you resonate with the most? Where do you feel you need to focus first among all the ideas that I've shared in this episode? If you disagree with something, please tell me. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. If you feel that there's something that I can improve, tell me that too. I read everything, and who knows, your questions will end up becoming ideas for future episodes. Also, your feedback will only help me improve the quality of the future episodes, so don't hesitate to share your POV in the comments. If you have been listening to this episode on a podcast application, you will find the link to the YouTube video of this episode. You can click on it and drop your views in the comments of the YouTube video. If this episode added value, please like this video on YouTube and give it a 5-star rating on the application where you've been listening. This takes just a few seconds of your time but helps the episode reach far more people who actually need it. Want updates from MrEmogical on Telegram or WhatsApp? Check the show notes or the description of this episode and you'll be able to join the WhatsApp community on the app of your choice to get updates of all future episodes and other content that I share on social media. If you'd like to get access to BTS, which is behind the scenes, want a sneak peek of how I'm building my personal brand or my coaching business, make sure to follow me on Instagram and all other social media platforms. You will find all the links in the episode description or show notes below, so make sure to take some time out and check them. Thank you for staying back till the end of the episode. I really appreciate your commitment to wanting to give unadulterated value to your audience, build your community, and grow your personal brand. If you've reached till this point of the episode, just drop the word growth in the comment if you still can't think of any comment in your mind, so that I'll at least know that you listened to the episode till the end. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take good care of yourself. Keep going, keep growing.